right, welcome to another edition of Giants Rush. It's Wednesday night, so you know what that means. It's myself, Danny, and our wonderful co-host, or she's really the main host of the show,
Yes.
Nikki. What's up? How's it
What's
going
up?
tonight?
Except it's not Giants Rush. Let's not confuse the audience.
This,
It's Rush
I
Hour.
was about to, but I said Rush Hour.
It's Rush Hour. It's another Wednesday. It's Rush Hour. And we've got a really big panel for you guys tonight. We got the AFC South tonight. And I know people don't give this division a lot of credit, but I'm a little intrigued. And I think as we go through the show, you guys will understand where the intrigue is coming from, especially in terms of fantasy football. So, Danny, are you pumped up and ready to go? Are you looking forward to this division in terms of fantasy at all?
I mean, of course, because there's a lot of unknown. Obviously, there's a couple players that you're like, all right, we got to get this guy. If we get this guy, we have a shot of winning. And then there's a lot of guys that are like, all right, for example, the Jags. All right, with Trevor Lawrence, anything could happen. He's going to put up fantasy points here and there. So it's going to be a lot of interesting. I know we have Derrick Henry. And then Anthony Richardson. What does Anthony Richardson do? Can he be awesome, or is he going to take some time? So it's really going to be interesting to see what these guys have in store. So, Nikki, take it away from us. Who are we starting off first?
Okay, let's bring everybody in. And we have everybody, right? We're not waiting for anybody. We've got everybody back there.
Unfortunately, Michael's running late. So
he's running late.
Here.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got everybody. So let's bring in our Titans panelists tonight. Tyler Rowland from Tic Tac Titans. Welcome in. How are you? How's it going over there?
I'm doing good. Excited to talk some football. It should be a great season. Excited to dive into it with a great group of guests as well. But thanks for having me on. Excited to get into it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. All right, let's bring in our Colts panelists, my very, very good friend, Mr. Ryan Dunn from One Dunn Radio. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about the Colts. And like I said, the division, man, we're coming for that 4th seed in the playoffs because I don't see us going any higher than that.
Well, listen, hey, don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. Don't start negative, Ryan, all right?
I don't have that much hope.
I know. Well, thank you for coming on. It's been a minute since we've done a show together, but we've done several together. Always a great time. All right, let's bring in our Texans rep, Coach Craig from Coach Craig Sports. What is up, Coach? How are you?
Doing pretty well. Obviously excited to be here and excited to have a little bit to look forward to for Texans season after a couple
bit. I think so.
Years.
I think so. Yeah, I'm excited to get into it, but we have got to bring in our Jags panelists, and I'm going to let Danny intro this because it's a very special, funny, interesting story as to how he formed his relationship with our next guest. Danny?
So I'm bringing on Emerson. He's from DraftKings. You know him. You see him on the DraftKings ads everywhere. So funny story about Emerson is around the 2018 Super Bowl between the Colts and not the Colts, the Patriots and the Rams. That was a very forgettable Super Bowl. I got a Facebook message from a kid from high school saying, I know you're a big Giant fan and we are having a contest and you get to send a video in and you get to meet Victor Cruz, ask him some questions and all that other funny stuff. So I'm like, okay, of course, I'm in. Of course, I'll send the video, have my wife videotape me, and I do it. I send it to whoever I needed to do it. They're like, all right, awesome. Come to Jersey City on this date and that date. So I have no idea what to expect. I have no idea. So I'm getting questions ready for Victor Cruz. I'm amped up meeting Victor Cruz. And then I'm starting meeting the other people. And then we meet Emerson, and he's like, oh, we're going to walk you through everything, and everything's going to be okay. I got you. Don't worry. So sure enough, I'm on a prank video clip from YouTube with Emerson just butchering the whole interview. So I'll link up the YouTube later, and then it turns out there was a prank on me, and it was a fun day, and that's when Emerson and I met. So Emerson, what's up, man?
That was
long time no see.
Was a good time, bro. Like seriously,
you really
started tweeting out clips from that like yesterday or the day before, and I'm like, oh my god, this was a freaking blast. I totally forgot about a lot of the details involved in that skit.
Yeah, it was really funny, and the question I always remembered, you were like, for whatever reason, they were like hammering that Victor Cruz has a girlfriend and you're trying to propose. And I'm like, okay, sure. So I went with the flow, and Victor Cruz is like, what is going on? Like, obviously he's in on the joke. And I'm like, all right, this is fun. So
you had one of the better reactions throughout that whole entire process, because like you actually seemed really caught off guard at times.
No,
like Victor Cruz and I were like beefing and fighting and wanted to punch each other in the face.
Yeah, no. So what happened was, full disclosure, I was the only non-quote unquote actor at the event. So I had no idea. Everybody else was like, oh, this is like an acting gig. Oh, what do you guys do? And I'm just a stupid Giant fan waiting to be Victor Cruz. So that was a fun moment that I'll never forget.
Yep.
So
Nick, good times, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on. Nikki,
for sure.
Take it away.
Take it away. Well, that is a very interesting story. I remember you sent me the clip the first time. I was like, you did this? Okay. So if you guys haven't seen it, the clip's floating around and we're going to tweet it out. Now that you have the backstory, we thought it was important to let everybody know what the story was there. So we're going to kick it off with a little bit of league news. I'm going to go around then. I have one question about some of your rookies. I got one division question each for you guys, and we're going to get into a little fantasy for each one of your teams and division predictions. So unfortunately, we do have to start with sad news. I know everybody has been talking about it, but we do have to say RIP to Ryan Mallett, who passed away due to a drowning incident in Florida this week. I think he was 35, right? Way too young. So it's definitely sad. I think it was a rip current, right? I think that I read that correctly. Just sad. But we're not going to dwell on that too much. I know everybody has been talking about that. Looks like Isaiah Rodgers, Ryan, and a slew of other players are expected to receive season-long suspensions here for gambling. Now, Isaiah Rodgers went ahead and allegedly placed 100 bets under a friend's name, and he bet on the Colts. So
I blame Emerson. Here? Emerson's beautiful face is always on the TV
that
screen.
must be the reason.
Hey, right, there you go.
Listen, Calvin really setting the bar high for everybody, and Jags are like my germs. Let's go, man.
Yeah, right. So we'll see about that. There's a lot of questions here in this division with a couple suspensions for other things going on. All you DirecTV subscribers, good news, you're getting Red Zone, obviously to replace Sunday Ticket, which I think went over to YouTube. And I understand licensing, but I'm just annoyed. I wish I could just hit one thing and everything pops up, but I know we don't live in that world. So there you go, DirecTV. You get Scott Hansen and his Octobox, which is, we're close to that here. We're getting there. Danny, we might get one of these panels. I don't know.
I'm gonna try now that you made it a comment.
Okay. So now we're gonna try.
But we're not gonna be on for 7 straight hours. I could promise.
No, we are not. About an hour is my max. I want to get your guys' thoughts here. I don't know if you saw Keyshawn Johnson. He listed his top 5 wide receivers, and he left out Justin Jefferson. So he had Hill, Adams, Chase, Diggs, and AJ Brown.
Hill, Adams.
There are so many great wide receivers in the NFL right now that it's close enough to where I can't, I know the whole culture in sports talk today is a hot take, but I'm just going to give like a medium take. And it's just that everything's close. I mean, I am not going to get up here and say that AJ Brown needs to be out of the top 5 as a person who understands and fully respects and misses his greatness. So listen, I think Justin Jefferson is in my top 5. I would have him there, but there are so many really good wide receivers. There's like 7 to 8 that you could all probably put in the top 5, and I don't think I could be too upset.
I would take out AJ Brown though. I think Jefferson is just a much better receiver than AJ Brown. I think if you put him with the Eagles, I just think that he has just as much success, if not probably way more success than AJ Brown has in Philadelphia. I just think he's a better receiver overall. That's just my take.
He set the record for most receiving yards in a single season by an Eagles receiver the very first year he went to a passing offense. So I'm not going to hate on Justin Jefferson, but I'm just saying I'm
sure Jefferson would have done the same thing. I mean,
yeah.
Well,
I think this has everything to do with with Keyshawn's show being canceled. Everyone's like, I wonder why. And then he comes out and it's like, Justin Jefferson isn't a top 5 wide receiver. Oh, I see.
Maybe it's because this dude has had a bad take. Like, I've never agreed with anything he said. It's just always bad takes. Yeah. Always one after the other. For the record, Justin Jefferson has a 356-yard lead on everybody that he mentioned, 2 All-Pros, and the only one with the Offensive Player of the Year. So, yes, it is a tight race, but it feels like I probably could have left AJ Brown off too. And final little piece of news before we get into some of your rookie questions here. The Dolphins have reportedly made an offer to Dalvin Cook, except Barry Jackson, the Miami Herald, says he has no details. So we are desperately waiting. I know there's so many running back questions here going on with Saquon Barkley. We're not going to talk about him. Sick to death. You got Josh Jacobs, even Jonathan Taylor, right? This is the last year of his contract. So we kind of have to see like who's going to blink first here. I'm so curious as to what this offer could be. Do you guys see Dalvin Cook in Miami?
That's a crowded running back room already.
That's what
anymore.
It's very.
I feel like
crowded.
they've signed 1 million running backs over the last 2 years, trying to
why not
fill
another
the gaps there.
So what do they have? They have Mostert, Wilson, Gaskin.
2 years ago, they added Chase Edmonds. They just drafted Devin A-Chain. Everyone's talking about how great Devon A-Chain's going to be.
I forgot about that draft pick.
A-Chain's going to be a good player.
Yeah. So many running backs. Yeah. Well, that's the way to do it nowadays, anyway.
It depends on the deal, though. It depends on. I think it depends if you can get him for a pretty penny, or not pretty penny, a pretty like cheap price. Then I think it's kind of something that you want to take advantage of. But it depends on how much they're going to give the guy.
Yeah. Played his high school ball down there, so it wouldn't.
Yeah, he's got the familiarity down there. Yeah.
Yeah, like they would absolutely love to have him.
Well, we are all waiting with
that
bated
offense
breath
is
here.
Stupid already. So
I know it's not.
I
fair.
didn't play football in Miami, and I want to go to Miami, so I would imagine that that would help even more.
I lived pretty close to there for like 3 years. My wife and I lived in West Palm, and we'd bounce down there every once in a while because the food is just tremendous, and the nightlife is.
Yep.
It never
tremendous.
ends, man. It's trouble. Yeah, it's tremendous and trouble at the same time.
It is tremendous
No
trouble.
comment.
Yes. We all just no comment on our Miami experiences. That's great.
No, hell, Nashville's like the Miami of Tennessee, man.
Is it? Okay. I've never been to Nashville.
No, talking about tremendous and trouble there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Not wrong.
We'll see. All right, let's get into some rookie questions, some draft questions we got for each one of your teams. I have to start here with you, Craig. I got to go here with CJ Stroud. I can't wait to hear your take. I certainly hope it's not as ridiculous as Colin Cowherd's take, where he said he wasn't tough because he didn't grow up with adversity. I don't know. He's another one. These takes are getting to be outrageous. I think these sports companies need to just put us on and see what happens. But what are the reports there in Houston? Is he coming as advertised?
Yeah, I think everything so far has been pretty good. So I know obviously people were making a big deal about like the S2 cognition test where they said he scored like incredibly low. Then the guy that runs one of the main people at the S2 company, he was on like PFF and said, hey, that's not even an accurate score. And plus, like, you don't know what all factors people had. Did they have a long day? Did they travel a whole bunch before the test and everything else like that? But everything out of Houston seems to be pretty good so far. Bringing over a San Francisco style offense should kind of try to keep it simplified for him year one. Obviously, you got some question marks around the playmakers around him at this point in time, but, hopefully somebody will step up.
All right. So you guys are feeling optimistic over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just the biggest thing was in the draft trading up, because essentially the trade they did do was for CJ Stroud because they really wanted Will Anderson either way. But if you take the quarterback first, then you don't have to trade as much for the pick as comparison. And number 3, if other teams are offering because they know the quarterback's still on the board too. So it's just, what does the first round pick next year and was that second round pick this year become out of that trade? That's the big question mark long term.
Right. All right, good stuff. I see we already got Anthony Richardson going in the chat here. Darius says he's going to be a top 10 QB. So let's jump over to the Colts, okay? Anthony Richardson, Gardner Minshew, they were splitting first team reps, correct? Yep. In camp there. Gardner. So what's the word out of there?
Like that.
What is Richardson going to be a top 10 quarterback. Darius is saying he might.
I don't think this year. So
okay.
I like Richardson. Between like him and Will Levis, when that pick was coming up, I was like, I don't want Will Levis. I think the upside with Richardson is just so much greater compared to what you get with Will Levis, and I don't want him to start week 1 either. No matter if it's neck and neck in the preseason, I'd rather have Gardner Minshew start. I have said this before. I think Gardner Minshew will throw for 700 yards and 8 touchdowns against the Jaguars in week 1 in his revenge game.
The revenge. I honestly, dude, I'm going to cry that game because Jacksonville loves that son of a bitch.
Yeah, I know. And he's going to love getting that W in week 1. He's going to break the streak. We're going to finally get a week 1 win.
Is it in Jacksonville or Indy? Because it's
in Indy.
Okay, yeah, so you guys will win that one.
No, I've been saying that for years. That we're going to win week 1. We haven't done it in a while. So, anyways, when it comes to Richardson, I don't want him to start week 1. He is such a project. Like you look at guys like I've said before, Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. All these guys did not start week 1. They did not play for a while, and then now look where they are. I want Richardson to start week 5 against the Titans. And I've gone through the schedule. I don't want him to go against the Jaguars in week 1. I don't want him going against the Texans or the Ravens or the Rams. Week 5 against the Titans would be a great starting point for him to get some playing time. So, but I love Richardson. I love what we can get from him.
Okay. All right. So we'll see there. We do have a question in the chat for Coach Craig. Do you want Hopkins back?
I mean, we still need a wide receiver 1, so if he wants to come back, more than welcome.
All power to him, right? You want to try this again? We'll try it again here and see what happens. All right. Well, speaking of Will Levis, Tyler, I want to know if you guys are concerned strictly because of the mayo and the coffee, and he's eating like full bananas with the peels, like. I don't know. That's a little strange to me. But obviously, what are they doing in Tennessee? So you got Tannehill, right? You guys took Levis. You still got Malik Willis there. We got the new third QB rule. How's this going to shake out there in Tennessee for what you think so far?
Well, I think Tannehill is clearing away the starter. He's definitely better than both those young guys. I mean, they're installing a new offense too. So Tannehill, as a veteran who's been in the NFL for nearly a decade, he's going to be able to get used to that much quicker. He's just a much better player than those young guys right now. I think that's a little disappointing. If you're the Titans, you trade up, get Will Levis after you already used a 3rd-round pick on Malik Willis the year before. You trade up for Levis and you use a 3rd-round pick next year. You're basically trading, 3 picks to go get Levis because you're giving up on Willis in the process. Now, Willis has had good reports in the preseason and OTAs and all that, but I'm a little skeptical based on what we saw from him last year and how far he'd have to go to really be better. They drafted Levis because of familiarity with system, coming from a pro-style offense in Kentucky, knowing he could sit behind Tannehill. It's pretty obvious that Mike Vrabel wanted Will Levis, and they went and got him. So to me, I think it would be hard for Malik Willis to beat out either of those guys, and the fact that Levis is maybe struggling early on is disappointing, but I got to be honest with you, just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Tannehill isn't getting you to a championship. He's probably getting you to the playoffs at max, even if things go well. I wasn't really a believer in Will Levis, regardless of the coffee and the mayo, which obviously he just did that for social media attention, which is a red flag in itself. And he admitted that after he got drafted. Like, he said, like, oh, I was just trying to be funny, blah, blah, blah. But really, it's just like, hey, look at me. I'll do weird stuff if you pay attention. Like, and that to me is not what you want in a professional quarterback who's supposed to be the coolest guy in the room, like Pat Mahomes and Joe Burrow. You know what I mean? So I'm skeptical of all of them. I think the Titans should have focused on the future this year and maybe had a chance at Caleb Williams or Drake May. But when you have Mike Vrabel as your coach and you bring back Tannehill and Henry on the last year of their contracts, it's just obvious they're trying to make one last run with this group of guys. And I don't know. I don't know if that's the right move because you're basically giving yourself Will Levis instead of the quarterbacks next year. That's interesting. As for Burks, I think Burks is wide receiver 1 fantasy-wise. Get yourself some Traylon Burks because who else are they going to throw to at wide receiver? But, I think that Tannehill's far and away the guy, and I don't know if Will Levis or Malik Willis is the answer, quite honestly.
just throwing things against the wall, right? And like, let's see what sticks here. It's kind of how it feels a
Sounds
little
fun.
bit.
Yeah.
All right, Emerson. So you guys took Anton Harris, right?
Yeah.
First pick in the draft. Now let me ask you, if Cam Robinson gets suspended, right?
Yeah.
2, 4, 6 games. So is Harrison stepping in over at left tackle? Is that Walker Little stepping in there?
Yeah, that's good.
How's this shaking out?
I think Peterson has said that Little's going to slide over to left tackle and Anton Harrison is going to take over at right tackle. So like there's so much in the air with what the hell's going on with like Robinson's suspension, but like he's obviously going to have, out of the 13 picks the Jags made, he's going to be the one to make an instant impact, and I think has a good chance of starting 17 freaking games as a rookie. Like they're going to keep him, I believe, as a starter, even when Robinson does return. It all depends on injuries, but I do think like offensive line is probably the biggest question mark with the team right now. And it kind of scares me like a little bit because you had some like key departures, and you guys all know this, like protecting your quarterback and a franchise quarterback is like the most important thing that your football team like needs to do. And we saw like them taking a step up in year 2, like helping Trevor Lawrence, like had some time, whatever the hell it was after the bye week, they figured stuff out, won like 7 of their last 8, had the incredible comeback, like against the Chargers. Like, just give T-Law some time, man.
Yeah, just a little bit of time. Like, I mean, we say this all the time. Danny and I can attest to it. Being Giants fans, I mean, but we finally got like a decent O-line working over here. It was 10 years of crap. Like, and you just want to cry, really rip your hair out, because it's just, how could you be this bad? Your quarterback can't stay upright. There's no running lanes for your running back. It's just painful and very frustrating to watch. So Emerson, let me ask you, any chance they move on from Cam Robinson and release him?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, no matter what, this is likely going to be the last year in Jacksonville for him because of his contract. But yeah, I don't know. Like, if he is not suspended, if this situation has come up, I don't know. I don't know if they go tackle. I really don't know if they go that route, like for their first round draft pick. I do believe that this had something to do with him going that route because of Robinson like having an issue, and I think the Jags knew it for a little while.
Yeah. Danny, anything on the draft, rookies, before we move on to some division questions for these guys?
Everybody hit it on the head. I'm more excited about the vets on the team. That it's like there's so much going on, especially with the Jags and Titans, and hopefully the Colts and Texans find a way to wake up this year.
Yeah, right.
Well, let's talk about
listen, it's an intriguing division, guys, when it comes to quarterback play too.
It is like, I mean, it's I think we're going to be the youngest division in the NFL when it comes to quarterbacks.
Like, guys, we have a chance here. I always joke because it's the division of the working man. We have a chance here to take a massive step up. I'm talking all 4 of us. Come on, man. We're in this together. We're a family.
Gosh, Ryan, God. You can be a little positive. You're more negative than me. This is, wow.
Listen, I got a cornerback that's been suspended for a year for gambling. Come on.
Come on.
He's having a rough day.
Sitting on his own team. Well, let's talk about your offensive line. Not a lot of changes there, right? And I don't know if that's probably a little concerning to you. Jonathan Taylor's on his last year. As we saw with your offensive line last year, you couldn't really open up any running lanes for him. He just couldn't perform at the level everybody expected. Obviously, we all know this. We talk about football. This is basically our lives. You can't really win if you don't have a good offensive line. So, question to you for the Colts, are you confident in this offensive line this year and Jonathan Taylor? Like, are we going to get back on track? Or I know you don't seem confident, but
I try to have some fun. So
when
you guys bring up the whole protecting your quarterback thing, I had my flashback to Andrew Luck when he was not protected at all. And then he retired. So when it comes to the offensive line last year, I mean, we were the highest paid offensive line in the NFL, and we were garbage compared to what we should be. When you pay offensive line like that, you got to have the success to follow it. And we just never had that. One, I mean, we had an aging Matt Ryan, so he got the shit beat out of him. Like, it was rough. And then we bring in backups like Nick Foles, Sam Ellinger. Like, none of it was working. It was just such a train wreck of a season. So I do expect the offensive line to be better. I think Shane Steichen is going to do a great job with this offense to get more production from the running game. And I think when Anthony Richardson is the full-time starter, I do think he will bring in more plays for him to utilize what he brings at quarterback. We saw that with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. Yes. I think we're getting the same thing with AR over there in Indianapolis. So I'm excited to see it because I think when you have that happen, it will open up more holes for Jonathan Taylor if you bring in the read option, more opportunities for him to get some big gains. As far as his contract, man, it's such a tricky situation with running backs in their contracts nowadays in the NFL. It's just, do you pay them? If they struggle that first year, you're like, wow, you look really stupid. But as far as like the offensive line and Jonathan Taylor, they really had to get it going, or else they may not even bother bringing Taylor back if he doesn't be productive. And I know it does still fall on the offensive line as well.
Yeah.
Oh, should the Colts?
Steichen did a hell of a job too with Herbert. Wasn't that his rookie season? Wasn't he his offensive coordinator too? That was an epic rookie year. So.
And think about that with Herbert. Herbert was not going to be starting that early in his career. They were going to go with Tyrod for a lot longer. Then Tyrod got stabbed in the back by a needle or something.
Yeah,
his own doctor, dude.
His own doctor punctured his lung or something like that, and
that was
Herbert took off.
That was the year they were on Hard Knocks too, and I remember them kind of talking about it, and they weren't talking about it.
So the question is, stupid question on the Colts in a full rebuild. I think when you have a rookie quarterback now, it is kind of showing you are trying to rebuild. We've done so much of Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Phillip Rivers, who actually was our best veteran that we brought in at the time. We've done so much of this, and it's like, now it's time to listen. Let's just reset. Let's get a rookie that has the great ceiling that AR has. I do think that we are in a type of rebuild mode, especially if we have two rookie cornerbacks that are starting week 1 because our guy was gambling.
Well, Darius says you guys are in a soft rebuild.
Soft rebuild? I don't know about that.
Tyler, you're muted.
So not
I was going to tell if you're talking. I can't tell if you're doing a mime thing or what, man. But
no, I was just saying it was nice that the sirens are going off while you were explaining that, because
that's right here, guys.
It was like an emergency in Indianapolis. You know what I mean? They had to cut it off, let it go get a rookie quarterback, quit trying to bring the patient back to life. So I thought it was fitting, and it was a nice sound effect. I almost thought it was on purpose for a moment.
No, it wasn't. That's just perfect.
It was. I told Emerson to make sure that the sound effect was happening in his background.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for slacking me.
Are the Texans on life support? Here's what I need to know for my peace of mind, Coach. Okay, so is DeMarco Ryan going to get more than a season? I cannot watch this anymore, where you've got one coach, 1 year. First of all, we're talking about a team that wins 2 games. I mean, how can you just give a coach 1 season, barely any talent? What are we doing here? I mean, it just you had David Culley, Lovie Smith. Now you got DeMarco Ryan. Is there going to be any consistency for 2023, 2024? Do you anticipate going forward? I don't know how you guys do this. It's exhausting.
Yeah, so David Culley, nobody expected him to be a coach, but he outperformed, and he probably shouldn't have lost his job that year. And then Lovie Smith, everybody knew he was getting fired after 1 year because nobody wanted Lovie Smith at that point in time either. But DeMeco Ryans, he's the hottest coaching commodity this year to come out. So if you fire him right away, somebody else is going to pick him up in 2 seconds. And he's, a former Pro Bowl level linebacker from the Texans. He's kind of the only reason that he's there, and the culture that he's going to bring in hopefully is going to be one that really starts turning things around. So I don't think they're planning on getting rid of him anytime soon unless things get really bad.
Well, can they get any worse? I guess really is my question.
I don't think so.
Oh, they can get worse?
No, they can go
2013 season where they went 2-14. Matt Schaub threw a pick 6 in 4 straight games, and they lost a whole bunch of one-score games.
I forgot about that.
That's how bad it can get.
Right. Sorry about that. All right, but
listen, I don't hate CJ Stroud for rookie of the year, though. I really don't. It's plus 750 right now. Expectations aren't sky high. 3-13, little flash here and there of his passing potential, and maybe he's in the mix for the award. You know what I mean?
As long as the interior O-line holds up.
Yeah, that's kind of important.
Just a little bit, guys. Just a little bit. All right, Tyler. did the Titans do enough here on offense in the off season? Listen, I'm never really like thrilled and excited here for the Titans, but and we're going to get into it when I ask Emerson his question, but this is a very young division. These offenses are young, up and coming. It feels like the Titans offense is going to get left behind if they don't figure out you're going to have to keep pace with the Jags, and the Colts have a lot of talent. So do they have enough on offense? You say Treylon Burks, you got Derrick Henry.
Well, no, I don't think they have enough on offense. They probably have the second worst wide receiver room in the entire NFL behind the Texans. That's why it's so imperative that they sign DeAndre Hopkins. Whatever it takes, they have to offer whatever it takes to make that happen. If, again, this is going to be a common theme when we talk about these things, but if they want to have this last dance season with Tannehill and Henry on the last year of their contracts, and they actually want to go for it, well, then you owe it to the team to actually give them a chance. And what they've done at wide receiver just simply isn't good enough to give themselves a chance. Their free agent signings, they tried to thread a needle of, we're not giving people long-term money that's going to hurt us in the future, but you were a bench player that maybe could be a starter. And they're like trying to thread this needle in between and still focus on the future at the same time. It's like, if you're trying to give Henry and Tannehill that last chance, you don't spend your second round and your third round pick on rookies at their positions.
Right.
You know what I mean? That doesn't necessarily add up either. So I would say that they haven't done enough on offense. But what I will say at the same time is, if they add Hopkins, the Titans had 34 players on injured reserve at some point last year. It led the league.
Yeah,
after a
that's
season
ridiculous.
where they had 91 players on their roster in 2021, which led the NFL that year too. They have been ravaged by injuries the last 2 years. I mean, they were playing with a completely backup offensive line, a backup quarterback, none of their defenders against Jacksonville, and were one controversial call away, which I think was called right. I think it was a fumble, but they were one controversial call away from completely shutting down the darling that's Trevor Lawrence. No offense, Emerson, but everybody loves Trevor Lawrence. The guy in the chat was saying he's going to be a top 5 QB now. Like, Trevor Lawrence was playing awful in that game against the backup Titans. So I'm not saying that the Titans are better than the Jags because the Jags have more talent, but all I'm saying is that the division the Jags aren't so great and the rest of the division isn't good enough to where if the Titans do add Hopkins, I think they could win the division again and go get beat in the first round of the playoffs with a couple Tannehill picks and make some other team look awesome. But hey, if you're Mike Vrabel, you would rather lose in the first round of the playoffs than get a top 5 pick. Why? I don't know. But from his perspective, that's what he wants to do. So the Titans are still close enough to do that if things go well, but they're also still close enough to being bad that they could go 5-12 or something, you know? So it's very interesting to see, but I think they end up in the middle, you know, around like 9-8, but they haven't done enough on offense right now to earn any more confidence than that.
And listen, Jaguar secondary is not very strong. Like,
right, there are weaknesses.
Yes,
you know? Look at ours.
Yeah,
we see you down there.
Yeah, I'm betting that the Colts secondary is worse this year. That's all I know.
Hey, who's betting though? Is it Isaiah Rodgers?
Oh, easy there. The rest of your team's going to get suspended. So relax there. We got a hot take in the chat. They're saying that the Texans are going to be the sleeper team to watch out for. Maybe.
What do they mean by sleeper?
I agree.
Yeah.
Every year a team goes from worst in their division to first in their division. That's how the NFL works.
Yeah.
If there's a team, when you get a brand new coach, people don't know your playbook, people don't know your scheme. The Texans have some veterans there. They have a really good offensive line. They don't have enough weapons either, but if they give Stroud protection, he's going to be able to get it to some of those guys. So I agree with Darius. I think the Texans are a sleeper team. I think they're going to be better than people think, even if it doesn't mean that they're awesome, you know?
Right. Coach, that's got to make you feel good, right? Feel good there. Well,
after the last couple of years, yeah, but I think it's kind of like the first year Dan Campbell was in Detroit and nobody thought they were going to be any good, and then they go, what was it, like 7-9? So I could see like 7-10 this year, and then maybe next year's kind of the year we start making a splash where people start going, recognizing the team a little bit more.
Oh, all right. Before we get into fantasy, one Last question for me in terms of team specific and the division. Speaking of wide receiver room, Emerson, do the Jags have the best wide receiver room in the division? Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, or the Colts
And Evan
right
Ingram?
there too? Like, yeah. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
don't mention his name to me because he's dead to me
I
forever.
know. Guys, it's
Ever.
crazy. After like, I mean, he was known for some big drops and big time moments, right?
Oh,
when
yeah.
he was with
Massive
the Giants.
drops.
I think he only had like 3 drops last season for
Yeah,
the Jags.
yeah.
Like, it was incredible.
There's something in the air in the Giants stadium. It's something in the air
Listen,
there.
I
you
will
dropped
say-
the division against the Eagles. You're dead to me. You are
one
dead.
of the
Yeah.
most embarrassing things was 2 years ago. People were cheering when he was running off the field.
Yes.
So that's all you
Yeah.
need to say. Like, it was the relationship was unfortunately done. He's the nicest guy in the world, but it just didn't work out here. And of course, he's shining in Jacksonville. I'm happy for the guy, but yeah, it's just
Hey.
really frustrating to see.
Yeah,
So
and like-
I mean, I would
And
say
I think bringing Calvin Ridley, sorry to
Yeah.
cut you off there. I think
No,
bringing
go
Calvin Ridley on is, the whole entire unit, I think, is only going to benefit more from a true wide receiver one there.
And Zay Jones broke out last year
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah. He got a career year from Zay Jones and helped Christian Kirk produce at a different level after everyone took, a fat dump on Jacksonville's chest after that ridiculous contract. Listen, the Jags completely effed up the wide receiver market last year.
All
it
is
was-
all
Yes.
jacked up.
Oh, dude, I was just sitting back like, oh, hell yeah, look at this. Like, this shit is hitting the fan. Let's
Like,
go.
They got the
Of course,
Titans
the
to trade AJ Brown.
Jaguars.
yes,
they got
dude.
scared.
Yes.
For
Yep.
real.
Yep.
They got
No,
scared. They were like, whoa, that's what we wanted to pay AJ Brown, and you gave it to Kirk. And AJ Brown's like, I want 25 mil a
Yeah.
season. And then John Robinson peed down his leg. But anyways,
But yeah, look, it's important for the Jags to adjust their offense this offseason. And, they finished 10th in points last year, and I would expect them to potentially be a top 5 offense next year. Now, if the defense can kind of do its part, that would be nice. I think we're going to need Walker and Allen to actually step up and combine for, 20 plus sacks instead of like the 10.5 that they did last year. But the defense got its shit together over the last handful of games, which is nice.
Best thing you guys ever did was fire that dirtbag Urban Meyer.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, bro. I hated it from
Yes.
day one. Everybody
Yeah.
did. It was like, let's make the sexy hire. People are going to talk about it. Come on. You can't hire a scumbag piece of shit like that. He's just a bad
he really
dude.
is.
He's
You know,
a bad dude. He's a bad human being.
Yep.
And I don't say that about many people, but he's one of them.
Yeah. No. In fact, when Doug Peterson went over there to Jacksonville,
I thought that was.
said, love it, right?
I love the hire. I was
Love the
like,
hire.
put an offensive
Yes.
minded coach with Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
That's what he needed. I love that hire when they did it.
Yes.
Complete polar opposite. Put that dude in the locker room. Great energy.
Yep.
Players listen to him. Players respect him, and he returns the
Yep.
favor to the players.
It's a
Yes.
great hire.
All right,
Yeah.
we're going to jump into a little bit of fantasy. I have some questions. Danny has some questions, but let's keep it on the Jags because we're talking about wide receivers. Who's going to be more valuable in fantasy, Christian Kirk or Calvin Ridley? I feel like this is the typical ceiling versus floor,
man.
right? Like you got Kirk kind of be that stable wide receiver 3, but then I feel like Ridley, the production and the growth potential is,
Yeah.
off the charts.
It's tough because what do you guys think? Does Ridley come in and show rust? Or it's like the rest versus rust narrative, and you see some of the videos coming out of these early camp workouts. The guy looks phenomenal. Of course he did. He wasn't touched for a year and a half. But then there is the whole new system, new scheme. You're coming in, new team, and you're getting you're out year and a half out of the NFL. You could be damn good and come back and you could look a little rusty, but I don't know. Christian Kirk had what? Led the team in targets. I think it was close to 130, 140, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Again, I think Ridley could open up the door for Kirk, Zay Jones, and Ingram. I don't know. Trevor Lawrence, take your pick, dude. I'm not complaining about it, but it's a tough question in fantasy. Yeah. Could be one of those slow starts for Ridley. And the next thing you know,
Correct.
dude just absolutely blows up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
easy wide receiver 1.
Yeah, no, I would definitely try to take a chance on Ridley, and then obviously you brace yourself for, unfortunately, if he rusts out like you were mentioning, Emerson. But I would definitely take a chance on him, and then because the upside is obviously a lot higher. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad.
I think come the end, yes. I think if you build a strong enough team around them, let's say you draft Calvin Ridley like relatively high, build a strong enough team around him, they may be carrying you for the first few weeks. But I do think by the end of the season, Calvin Ridley is the one out producing Christian Kirk.
I agree there. Coach, talk to me about the arrival of Devin Singletary. How's that going to impact Damian Pierce's fantasy value? Because it's really dependent on volume, and you guys don't get in scoring position a lot. So what's that dynamic looking like in terms of fantasy?
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting one because Singletary is kind of quietly improved every single year of his career. People don't like to talk about it, but it's actually pretty decent. Neither one of them really is much of a pass catching threat. Both of them can do it. Both of them aren't great at it. Singletary ran a bunch of routes for Buffalo, even though they never threw him the ball last year. So it'll be interesting to see how it all works out. Probably ends up being, Pierce is going to be the lead. Singletary is going to be behind him, but it's probably one of those situations where you don't really want either guy until one of them gets hurt, is what I'd say at the end of the day. And even if just want to say one more thing about Calvin Ridley, he might be one of those guys by the time we get draft season, his ADP is really high. Maybe he's the guy that you don't draft, but you trade for, like week 3 after he's kind of not looked.
That's a good move. 2 weeks. That's a very good move. I like that call.
That's a good move. That is a very good move. I like that. All right. So Ryan, I have this thing with rookies, right? And I got into this discussion about rookies, and part of being really good in fantasy, I think, is appropriately valuing a rookie. So I'm seeing so much about Anthony Richardson being overvalued, undervalued. I'm never really mad at taking a rookie. I did this last season with Chris Olave, and I just kind of stashed him, right? And then week 7, 8, I was really happy to have him when he started kind of getting used to the offense there. So what are your thoughts here on Richardson? Because where are you rating him in terms of value?
I mean, you're not going to, if you're going to take him as your first quarterback, I mean, you're going to have a long season.
And you never played fantasy football ever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's one of these guys that kind of like Olave, you just kind of take him stash and keep him on the side whenever he's ready to go. You take your other QBs before. I mean, there's plenty of guys that you would take before, before AR. If, like I said, week 1, take Gardner Minshew. He's going to throw for 700 yards, 8 touchdowns against the Jags. I mean, come on now. That's, if you want to win your game, there it is right there. Take Gardner Minshew.
He could be the next week 1 Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, and then just drop him right there.
And then that's it, right? That's exactly what happened to Sammy Watkins. Everybody's going crazy, and then nothing.
Pick him up week 1 and then just drop him like a rock, man. Don't even worry about him. Don't look back or anything. So, but AR though, don't take him as a high. I would not take him as a high pick. I mean, people want to say he's maybe overrated. I don't know where people are ranking him on their boards when it comes to drafting him, but I would not draft him high. He's one of the ones that I would take him definitely in the later rounds. If he's available in the later rounds, maybe 2 or 3 rounds before your draft's over, snag him. He can be a good guy that whenever he does get going, he could really shine or it could really struggle.
Obviously, and if you're in a dynasty league, you're obviously going to take him because you're going to be waiting for him to bust out. So if you're not in a dynasty league, you could either, like Ryan said, you can get him in the later rounds, or hope he's a free agent and you get him before he breaks out. If not, you're going to be wasting all your fab. So
one year I missed my fantasy draft.
Oh, well, that's a mistake.
But no, I missed it, and it auto drafted me Cam Newton his rookie year.
Wow,
that was great.
That was great.
Wasn't that one of the best rookie debuts ever?
Yes. I put him in week 1. Dominated.
Yeah, it was almost 500 passing yards or something.
Yeah. I was like, I got Cam Newton. That's what's up. Let's go.
That's so funny. Hey, it's not bad. Something, you miss your draft sometimes. You log in, you see your team. You're like, what the hell happened here? I
was pissed that I missed it, but I was stoked with who I got.
Yeah, hey, that's not bad.
Sometimes
all right, let's talk about the Titans. I know we talked about how limited the offense is here in fantasy. Is that really it? Burks, right? How high are you drafting Burks? Obviously, Derrick Henry is a no-brainer, but other than that, I mean, where's really the fantasy? Any other players that could add some fantasy value to your roster?
Absolutely. I have 2 for you. Number 1 is who you got to pay attention to the most. In this barren place we call the tight end wasteland. Fantasy football in 2023. Chig Okonkwo is here to get chiggy with it. The Titans' second-year tight end out of Maryland absolutely dominated when given an opportunity, which wasn't all the time for some reason last year, despite the state of the offense. I mean, he was the sixth highest graded tight end in the entire NFL per Pro Football Focus last year. He led tight ends in yards per route run. He led rookie tight ends in catches and yards. I mean, he had the most 40-yard plus catches of any player in the NFL with 3. I mean, he was absolutely explosive. Led his draft class in 40-yard dash. Chig Okonkwo is a playmaker, and it took until halfway through the season last year for him to get more than 37% of the offensive snaps in a game. They just simply didn't want to use him. They decided to go with Jeff Swaim over and over and over again. It's unreal. But Swaim is gone. Trevon Wesco is going to take over that blocking tight end role, but I think they're going to feature Chig Okonkwo in a major way, not only as a tight end, flex tight end, probably not in line, but he's going to be a flexed out tight end. They're going to use him in the slot. I think they're going to play him at wide receiver in 2 wide receiver sets, even when they have 2 other tight ends on the field. I think they're going to run 13 personnel with Chig Okonkwo as a wide receiver. So in an offense or in fantasy football, it's all about talent and it's all about volume. How much do you get the ball and what can you do with the ball when you get it? And he's proven that he can do some awesome things when he gets the ball, and he should get the ball maybe twice as much as he did his rookie season. So from a volume and a talent perspective, you're not going to get a better value in the mid rounds, probably going late in the top 10 for tight ends, maybe even less. I saw him going around the same places, the rookie tight end in Buffalo. I'm blanking on his name.
The kid out of Utah, right?
Yeah. Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah.
Like Chig Okonkwo's going right with him before him, and that guy's splitting time with Dawson Knox. So clearly Chig Okonkwo is underrated. And in fantasy football at the tight end position, if you don't get one of like the top 3 guys, one big play can totally win your week for you at the tight end spot. And we saw over and over, and with the stats that I gave you, Chig Okonkwo is going to give you an explosive play once a week. And that's huge for the wasteland that is the tight end group. So I would take him. And then Tajay Spears, the rookie running back, who's kind of the scat back out of the backfield, catch the ball. Dontrell Hilliard led the Titans last year with 4 touchdown catches as the backup running back for Derrick Henry, and he only played in 11 games. So Spears is a better player than him. They drafted him in the 3rd round. That's a high pick. They're going to use him. Derrick Henry can't be a 3rd down running back. So Chig Okonkwo for sure, but later in the rounds, you're looking for handcuffs and value picks. Tajay Spears for the Titans. That's the 2 guys I'd look for in fantasy that people aren't thinking about.
Yo, can I ask you a question about Derrick Henry? Because I remember expectations were last year that age was going to catch up with him a little bit. And of course he responded by being, I think, the RB3 in PPR and RB1 in non-PPR. And I think the same thing is happening a little bit this year early on in drafts. Is this the year that we see age catch up to him a little bit? Because weren't there rumblings of them potentially trading this dude in the offseason?
Yeah,
that was
and it makes sense with where they're at. Like I was saying earlier, they need to prioritize the future. They decided not to do that and kind of go for that last dance run, but they definitely had to at least think about the possibility of that. But my thing is Derrick Henry's work ethic is historical. You look at his production in high school, his production in college, the workload in the NFL, the production, he's just a historically hard worker. And he's in incredible shape. He's not going to fall off diet, all the regimen, all that. So I think that where you see Derrick Henry's decline is in the big runs, the big one. You know what I mean? He doesn't break off 99-yard touchdowns and 75-yard touchdowns anymore.
That's what he does against
he's
the
getting
Jags.
older. Well, the Texans and the Jags still get it every time, but he's gone from 5.4 yards per carry in 2019 and 5.1 in 2020 to 4.4 in 2021 and 4.3 last year. So he just doesn't break off the big, huge, long touchdown run, but as a hammer that they're just going to give the ball to 20 to 25 times a game, he should still be one of the top 6, top 7 running backs drafted. He's still good. I mean, he went for 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns last year, had a career high in catches, a career high in yards, and he did it in the 2nd worst offense in the entire NFL with a terrible coordinator, bad O-line, no weapons. The O-line should be marginally better this year. If they're just a small margin healthier, he's still going to go for 1,612 touchdowns and be worth your first-round pick. So,
Yeah.
you know, he doesn't break off the long one like maybe he did in his prime,
Right.
but he's still a freak. So I would feel comfortable drafting
We
him.
must
Yeah.
have been
Go
the first
big in round
worst
one with,
offense in
like,
the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go big round
it's
one,
them or Denver.
Jefferson.
So, yeah.
Go Jefferson
I'd go
Chase or
Henry
something like
still.
that in round one. And when you loop back around, like he'd make for an excellent pairing, like back
Oh
in
my
round
God.
2
Oh,
or
heck
something.
yeah.
That would be a dream come true type scenario.
I know. Look at us all drooling. It's like, no, it's
Like,
like,
dreaming of it.
I'm excited, man. It's getting close.
dude, you
man.
got
We're
me
getting
fired
there.
up too. I'm like, let's go.
I know. I'm
Titans
like,
week,
I
baby.
hate drafting tight ends, but I'm like, I'm ready. Like, let's go. Am I drafting tomorrow? Like, God, I'm excited for this. Ryan,
I'm
we
queuing
have
up a best ball now.
We have a question for you. What are the expectations for Josh Downs?
Oh man, well, going into the draft, and when I was watching the draft, I really wanted Jalen Hyatt. I know the Giants got him. Yeah, I'm
Sorry
aware.
about it.
I'm aware. Well, we had our chances. We just didn't take him. But I think Josh Downs, when you look at the offense, I mean, we did not have a lot of production from our receivers last year, but it's because we also didn't have a lot of production from our quarterbacks last year too. So I think Josh Downs, I think Shane Steichen is going to do a lot of creativity with him. He's going to be that third receiver for us. We got Alec Pierce. We got Michael Pittman. Those are two great receivers when you actually have a great quarterback or a somewhat average quarterback, which again, I think with Minshew week 1, he'll probably throw 300 yards to Pittman, probably 250 to Pierce, and then the rest is I don't know. They just spread it out at that point. First off, it's gonna really suck if it's the opposite happens. It's gonna
Honestly,
really
dude, I'm not gonna be upset either way.
But I think Josh Downs, I have pretty good expectations for him. I think Steichen's going to do a lot of great things with him. I mean, if you're one of those guys, a fantasy player, I think he could be a great guy. Maybe like a T.Y. Hilton when he came out his rookie year. T.Y. Hilton and Luck were such a great combo.
Oh.
I mean, for many years in Indy, but that rookie year, like for both those guys, was just so fun to watch them. So I could see that kind of happening. I mean, again, it just depends on how Steichen uses him.
Yeah. Danny, do you have anything else fantasy-wise? Do you want to ask the guys before we get into predictions?
Yeah, we really didn't talk about him much other than for like 2 seconds, Ryan. What about Jonathan Taylor? He obviously was the 1 of 1 last year. Obviously, that failed miserably. What are we expecting out of him this year, especially with the ankle injury last year? Kept him out. It was because they were really out of it, really, let's be honest. If they were in contention, he probably would have played towards the end of the year, but he wasn't worth him playing. Like, where would you think drafting him? Like, because obviously he was 1 of 1 last year. Does he fall out of the first round? Do you still try to take him in the first round? Like, where do you think coming this offseason about Jonathan Taylor?
I think he's going to slip from the first round. And I think if you can get him out and not in the first round, get him in the second, or somehow he falls to the third round, which I highly doubt that. But if you get him in the second round, I think that's a great pick at that point. I think, again, the offensive line, I think it's going to be a lot better this year. I think the offense is going to be different as well for him. I do think he will slip. Again, he was a first pick overall in a lot of leagues, and he disappointed a lot of people. And so the Colts fan, I'm sorry, but I don't coach them.
I had him.
Is this a contract year for him? Like, what's this?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's in his contract year, so that's another thing too. So that could motivate him to play really well. Yeah, and he does put up big numbers, or something happens. Like, I'm pretty sure before last season, I don't think he ever really got hurt. Like in the NFL or in college. He just never.
I don't remember it.
No, like he just never got hurt, and that he talked about that, and it was just mind-boggling to see that. And so I think last year was just one of those injury bug seasons that maybe this year comes back and he doesn't have that. Again, with the offense being how it's going to change. So we'll see. But this is a contract year for him, and I want to keep him around in Indy too, like a lot of people do.
You sound like us with Saquon and the Raider fans with Jacob. So welcome to the club, and obviously Tyler with Derek.
Thanks for the invite, I guess.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, no problem.
The last 14 Super Bowl winners, their leading rusher in the game made less than $5 million that season. When it matters, you just don't. You can find running back production cheap other places. I don't care how good the dude is. You just don't win paying running backs big money contracts.
No, it's true. We had Michael Lombardi on our show today.
Our whole
the whole position's been devalued.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's too many good ones.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, real quick, Ryan, one more question for you because we have some Giants fans in the chat. What is your opinion on Okereke since he is over here in New York now?
Yeah, I was kind of sad to see him go because I don't know what's going to happen with Darius Leonard. I think losing Okereke, I mean, that was a big loss in my opinion on defense. I mean, we do a pretty good job developing linebackers anyways, but Okereke, man, he was a good player for us. I think he's going to do really good in New York. Again, Darius Leonard, such a playmaker on defense when he's out there. Like the guy, when he's out there, man, he's just forcing turnovers. He's just everywhere on the field. So we don't know where he's gonna be. We don't know how it's because I guess it's like a back issue with him, and you never want to mess around with that when you're an NFL player. You never
Hasn't
want
gotten better.
Exactly.
Like,
and it's you never want to mess with that. So losing Okereke, big loss for us. Huge game for the Giants. You're welcome. But
yes, thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah.
We have, let's see, we got Tom hopped in the chat. Thanks for joining us. He says he's a Giants fan living in Dallas, but he thinks the Texans will have the biggest improvement in the NFL. I'm not going to be surprised if the Texans have a big improvement, and that can lead us right into our predictions. Coach, give us your prediction for the division and for your team.
Overall, I think Texans probably going to end up with like 7-8 wins. I think that's a pretty reasonable season, and I think it's a pretty good start for year one under DeMeco Ryans. The division's kind of up for grabs in a sense too. Like, yes, the Jaguars had the good year last year, but they're going to play some tougher teams. They're going to have a little bit tougher schedule this year. Obviously, one of the benefits of being one of the lesser teams last year is you get a little bit softer schedule too. Just going through Texans schedule earlier today, 7-8 wins look pretty reasonable. There's a lot of winnable games there too.
Okay. Where do you think you guys finish in the division?
We'll call third.
Okay. All right. Third.
go.
I like it. All right. Let's go.
Wait,
let's go.
who finishes
Emerson.
last?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Titans do. I don't know what they want to do with that quarterback situation. I think that offensive line is a huge mess still.
That's fair.
All right.
And as somebody like the Texans, not last year, but the season before that, when we had a bunch of injuries and we were paying a bunch of backups on the offensive line, when your offensive line looks like that, everything gets a lot worse.
All right. So you see the division coming down to the Colts and the Jags battling for 1 and 2 there. Yeah. All right.
Hello,
All right, Emerson.
friend.
What do you got?
Hi,
All
Craig.
right. I got Jags at 11 wins. I got Jags winning not one but 2 playoff games. AFC Championship game bound, led by an elite coaching staff and an elite offense. And Trevor Lawrence in the MVP conversation. I'm just going all in.
Wow.
I don't care.
Do it.
And I also have a Super Bowl future on the Jags this season.
Do you?
Yeah, I just threw that money away.
All right. Yeah, why not? Okay. Okay, so you guys are taking it all, but how do you see the rest of the division playing out?
Oh my God, this is where it becomes a little dicey. I do see the Texans taking a step up again, like your quarterback in the Rookie of the Year conversation. If Richardson exceeds expectations, I also wouldn't hate him in that conversation as well. This one's tough. I'm going to go second. I'm going to go Colts third, Titans fourth. I am going to go Texans, but I don't think you're going to be 3-13 again.
Improvement.
So there's that.
14. Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, hold on. 3-13-1. Let's not forget we tied with them.
That's right. That's right.
Forget those infuriating ties. All right, Tyler. Everybody's
waiting for
got
that.
you. They got the Titans in the 4th spot here. Do you agree?
No. Mike Vrabel was the head coach of the Tennessee Titans.
He still hasn't. Is he still on the dick pet, chopping his dick off bet?
Oh, dude,
yeah.
yes.
I still think he would. I still think he would do it. Honestly, I'm getting older. I might do it too.
Oh no.
I need one. I need one in my lifetime, and then I can die happy. But yeah, I think that the Titans end up winning 8 games. They go 8-9, finish second in the division. I think Jacksonville wins 10 games. 10-7. They have a tough schedule now.
Yeah.
I think they may, and there you always get a general bump when you have a rookie head coach. That's why I'm kind of high on the Texans win total this year because you get new coaching staff, haven't seen the scheme. If you have the right players, which Jacksonville had talent that Urban Meyer was wasting, I think the Texans do have some talent that I don't think either of the coaches that they've had recently should have been NFL head coaches. And I think the Texans knew that too. And they were placeholders until they could get through the Deshaun Watson situation. So I think you add in actual good coaches and that'll help the Texans. But that's what happened with Jacksonville. But I think Doug Peterson is a coach, but I'm sorry, I don't think he's an elite coach. I don't. But I think they have great talent.
An aggressive coach.
Yeah, he's a better than average coach. Like I think he's in like the 12 to 8 range, somewhere in there. So I think Jacksonville is good. I think they're the most talented team. I think they have a good coaching staff, but the schedule is more difficult, and I don't think that they're awesome. It's funny to me how it's like the Chargers are the new Bills, and now the Jags are the new Chargers of like how the national landscape loves the teams. It's like, it's funny how they like just go in order, and the Bills are going to wash out after they lose this year, and they're going to be old news. And then it'll be the Chargers, and then the Jags will jump in. It's great how it's all happening.
It's the regular cycle.
Right. It's just how it goes. But yeah, I think Jacksonville wins, 10 wins, Titans 8 and 9 second, the Texans 7 and 10 in third. And then I think the Colts go 5 and 12.
Ouch.
Ryan, what say
That's
you?
best for the Colts.
Take
Don't
under
the best
6.5
thing
wins
for the
in for
Colts,
the Colts, right? And then over 6.5 wins for the Texans.
Okay. Oh, is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
Been waiting for this.
Colts undefeated. Number
Yeah,
one.
Right.
No, so again, I don't have AR starting until week 5 against the Titans. I think that he wins that game. I do have the Colts going, what did I say, 6 and 11. But I have the Jags taking the division. I just think that they're just so talented on the team. I love what they do. Titans, because the Titans they'll still kind of be tough. I don't think it'll come down to the last game of the season though. I think Jacksonville will have it wrapped up prior to that. Colts 3rd in the division, Houston 4th. I still think Houston does show a lot of improvement. But I do think the Colts show a little bit more. And I mean, again, I had the Colts being 1-3 by the time AR starts. I think what happens is Colts again win the first one, domination by Minshew in week 1. Next 2 we lose because we go to Baltimore, and then we play. God, I forgot who we play. Like we play someone else. We play Houston too. I think Houston will beat us, and then I think it gets the Rams like halfway through the game. They take Minshew out, put AR in, then he starts the rest of the way at that point. So I think he goes like 5 and 8 from that point for the rest of the season. So 6 wins for the Colts. I'd be happy with that. You know, again, just improving. If we look good, if we see improvement from our rookie quarterback and the team, I'd be happy with that at the end of the day, building for the future, because I still think we are in a rebuild. I mean, at the end of the day, we are rebuilding. We have some veteran guys on the team like DeForest Buckner and Michael Pittman, who's not really a veteran, but at the same time, he is getting close to that. I think he is in his contract year too. He is in the final year of his contract. So we got some guys that we want to keep around too. But Colts 3rd in the division. I'd be fine with that as long as we show some effort and we win week 1 against the Jags.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I had something in there. Like, listen, we haven't won week 1, and I don't know how long it's been. It's been so frustrating. I just like last year when we tied, I was pissed. Like, I was like, I'd rather just lose. Like that, I tie in the NFL is the worst.
They should have
thing.
lost the game.
Thank you. But like I know we should have. But the thing is, we should not be tying.
But you guys stole the game from Kansas City. That was the can't miss bet of the week.
We had the recipe to beat Kansas City in our last
That
2 games. We are
so
2-0 against Kansas City. So we know how to beat them.
I should have noticed that before I placed that bet.
You guys got the blueprint over there. All right. Well, I have to thank you guys so much for taking time on your Wednesday night to come and chat with us. Yep. I am excited for the AFC South because, like I said, it's such a young division. There's so many great up and coming players. I am high on the Jags this year. I do think the Texans take a step forward. I do think the Colts will be just fine. I do have concerns about Tennessee, but Tyler, to your point, Mike Vrabel is one hell of a coach. So I think this is a more interesting division than people are giving credit for.
Yeah.
I think you're going to find a lot of fantasy gems in here this season outside of the big names. There's some great sleeper players. So I hope we can get you guys back. I thank you so very much and appreciate it. Danny and I will see you guys next week. We have a very special 4th of July episode, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much and good night, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.